How's it going? It's all the news, all the time. I just want to say I really appreciate people watching these videos. It's really nice. I'm putting a lot of time and a lot of effort trying to make them work. It's really nice that people are watching them. And if you do like the content, please make sure you like and subscribe. And that'd be great. So we got a story today from Johnny Depp. It's the verdict has been thrown into chaos yet again as the wrong juror was seated in the Virginia trial. So Amber's team has said that the juror was actually the wrong person. And if so, there could entirely be a mistrial. So let's have a little look. If there wasn't enough drama swirling around Johnny Depp's win over Amber Heard in his multi-million-dollar defamation suit last month, things have turned judicially weird. Ms. Heard had a right to rely on a basic protection as prescribed by the Virginia Code that the jurors in this trial would be individuals who were actually summoned for jury duty, says a partially redacted new filing on Friday by the Aquaman star's legal team. You can read it there. This is from Deadline. In this case, it appears that juror number 15, sounds like a perfume, was not in fact the same individual as listed on the jury panel. Attorney Braidhoft adds, Ms. Heard's due process was therefore compromised. Under these circumstances, a mistrial should be declared and a new trial ordered. I can see where she's coming from. This position might be viable, it might be tenable for that team to get this entire verdict thrown out and a mistrial declared. It seems extraordinary. So let's have a little look. Unlike the previous motion and memorandum placed in the Fairfax County Courthouse docket late last month to dismiss the June 1st verdict and get a new trial, today's supplemental memo has a lot more details on what could snatch victory from Depp in his long legal battle with his ex-wife. According to the redacted filing, the summons for jury duty was sent out to a Virginian resident in April for the much-delayed defamation action against Heard, blah blah blah, Washington Post op-ed. However, also according to today's filing, it seems that there are two individuals residing at the same address with, at the very least, the same last name. One is a 77-year-old and another is a 52-year-old. The former was the one summoned, so the 77-year-old, but it looks like the latter, the 52-year-old, was the one who showed up. Thus, the 52-year-old, sitting on the jury for 6 weeks, was never summoned for jury duty on April 11th and did not appear in the list as required. Friday's damning filing asserts. This could be serious. This could literally throw this thing open. I think it's down to the judge whether she decides whether it constitutes such a serious effect on Amber Heard's rights to a fair trial, whether she actually calls a mistrial. But it is significant. It really is. It seems strange that it got through on such a high-profile trial, that it seemed to have flown through without anyone noticing. Not noticed by officers or clerks of the court. The younger individual made it all the way to the jury without apparently ever being asked to produce any ID, or perhaps using fake ID, the filing implies. Additionally, it looks like someone filled out the required online information form either intentionally or accidentally, to say that they were born in 1945. Wow, that's quite a statement. I was looking at this site, which is the Prison Professors Teaching People to Teach Themselves. It's a blog article, so I think you can take this with a pinch of salt. However, it's talking about the 5 common reasons for a mistrial, and the most common reasons are juror misconduct and the jurors were improperly selected. Well, I would argue that we have case number 2 here. We have improper selection of a jury, or a member of the jury. Very strange. If we look at the Code of Virginia, which this one's from LIS Virginia Law, it notes this sections 8.01 to 353. This is notice to jurors. This is how you tell jurors where they should go and what they should do. This sections 8.01 to 353.1, jurors are to provide identification at the time of assembly for the purpose of jury selection. The identity of each member of the jury, I'm not sure about veneer, shall be verified as provided in this section. So prior to being selected, a potential juror has to verify their identity by presenting to the person taking the attendance any of the following forms of ID: his Commonwealth of Virginia voter registration card, his or hers social security card, his or hers valid Virginia driving license, or any other ID card issued by a government agency of the Commonwealth, one of its political subdivisions or United States, or an employee identification card containing a photograph of the juror and issued by an employer of the juror in the ordinary course of the employer's business. So you have to provide official ID, and it has to be photographic ID. And it seems very strange that they would allow this to just pass. This could call for an entire new trial. We could be looking at Johnny Depp 2, The Curse of the Missing Juror. So again, this is from Channel 24. Amber Heard is asking for a mistrial. I think she's got a lot of ground to stand on, to be honest. She's asking for it to be declared for the same reasons. The person selected was 77. The person who shared the last name and address was 52. The 52-year-old person turns up. Very strange indeed. I was looking at the voir dire process for Virginia, how jurors are selected. Well, initially they're just selected randomly. They're given certain questions by the judge. There's a mini opening by both sides, 3 to 5 minutes, explaining what the case is going to be, how the case is going to go, what the general points are that are going to be made. The attorneys question the jury to look for any bias. Do you dislike actors? Do you dislike Hollywood? Do you have strong feelings about assault charges, and so on and so forth? And then the attorney requests or removes jurors which they believe have potential bias, leaving them a pool of jurors afterwards. So that's the general process. And the question was asked was, why did it go so fast? If we look back at the deadline in this is April, I think it's just under there. This one's from April. It was saying that most of the potential jurors in the trial professed to know little about the case. Some were a little puzzled when they walked into the courthouse to see signs of justice for Johnny. One potential juror admitted he couldn't quite place the plaintiff's ex-wife. I think everyone recognises Johnny, but has more problems with Amber Heard. To be honest, I forgot the name of the other party. Well, for sure, she's not on the same sort of level of fame as Johnny Depp. That was apparent by the relative speed. This is the point I wanted to make here. This was apparent by the relative speed with which it took to pick the jury of 11 men and women as they were seated by mid-afternoon. So in the morning and early part of the afternoon, they've been selected. They've gone through voir dire process. They've been asked questions by either side. They've been asked questions by the jury. They've been sworn in. All of this in the morning. And it seems, in my personal opinion, that mistakes were made, and quite serious ones, with a juror who's really not meant to be there. And this could cause the entire thing to collapse, and we could be looking at a whole new trial, which would be extraordinary. I mean, it's almost like a sequel, Pirates of the Caribbean on darker tides or something. Johnny Depp, the sequel. So yeah, let me know what you think. Is there going to be a retrial? Have we reached that point that there's going to be a mistrial? Is this significant enough? Is it serious enough for the judge to say her rights have been significantly affected? I think the way you need to look at it is, if it were two normal people, not celebrities, would the judge say, well, for these people, the fact that this juror was not who he says he is, or she says he is, we don't know, is that significantly affecting the person's rights to a fair trial? It's very difficult to argue, difficult to actually work out the position of it. I do have, some small legal experience myself. I have a law degree in the UK, but that doesn't mean I understand US law. I mean, it's a different jurisdiction, but I understand the general principles. But very interesting. Is it going to be a mistrial? Is it considered significant enough as a breach of her rights, a breach of her right to a fair trial of her peers? Very interesting. So let me know in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe if you liked anything, and subscribe if you want to get some more news. And it's been a real pleasure talking to you, and I will see you guys later on.